Have you ever wondered why some people seem to age slower and bounce back from illness quicker than others? It's not luck. It's not just genetics. It's about patterns, simple habits, repeated daily over years, that change everything. Over my decades of medical practice, research, and patient interaction, I've discovered a handful of powerful strategies that consistently make the biggest difference in health and longevity. And today, I want to share what I consider my best tips of all time. These are timeless principles. They don't rely on trends. They're not about chasing the latest superfood. They are about returning to what your body was built for. ChatGPT's sleep is not just rest. It's one of the most powerful healing tools the human body possesses. Every night, when we fall into deep sleep, a series of essential biological processes begin, most of which are impossible to activate when we are awake. Sleep isn't passive. It's a high-functioning state of restoration, hormonal regulation, detoxification, and memory consolidation. One of the most profound discoveries of the last 2 decades in neuroscience is the existence of the glymphatic system, a waste or clearance system that becomes active only during deep sleep. This system flushes out toxins from the brain, including beta-amyloid and tau proteins, both of which are implicated in neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's. What's remarkable is that this process does not work effectively when sleep is fragmented or shortened. The body requires sufficient time in the deeper stages of non-REM sleep to fully activate this cleansing mechanism. Simply put, deep sleep is the body's way of clearing out the brain's metabolic trash. From an endocrine standpoint, deep sleep is essential for the release of growth hormone. Growth hormone is not just important for children or athletes, it's a critical hormone that supports cell repair, muscle maintenance, immune system strength, and fat metabolism. Its release peaks during the early phases of sleep, especially in the first cycle of slow-wave sleep. If you're staying up late or using screens at night, this window can easily be disrupted. When we shortchange ourselves on sleep, we are not just tired, we are hormonally unbalanced, immunologically weaker, and metabolically impaired. Cortisol, our main stress hormone, becomes dysregulated. Instead of the natural rhythm of cortisol rising in the early morning and falling at night, sleep disruption can cause cortisol to remain high at night and low in the morning. That imbalance is associated with increased fat storage, insulin resistance, and chronic inflammation. Sleep also regulates insulin sensitivity. A single night of poor sleep can make a healthy individual temporarily insulin resistant. That means your body will have a harder time moving glucose into cells, leading to higher blood sugar levels and greater fat storage. Over time, this can contribute to metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. In fact, chronic sleep deprivation has been directly linked to higher risks of obesity, cardiovascular disease, and stroke. It's not just about what you eat or how much you exercise. If your sleep is disrupted or shortened consistently, your health will suffer regardless of your other good habits. The immune system, too, is deeply influenced by sleep. Natural killer cells, which are responsible for destroying virus-infected and cancerous cells, drop significantly in number and function after a poor night of sleep. Studies have shown that even just one night of restricted sleep reduces natural cell activity by up to 70%. That's a dramatic drop in the body's first line of defense. On the flip side, prioritizing quality sleep enhances immune memory, making vaccinations more effective and immune responses more efficient. During sleep, the body also produces cytokines, which are proteins that help regulate inflammation and coordinate the immune response. Without enough sleep, cytokine production is impaired, making the body more vulnerable to infections. Sleep plays a vital role in mental health as well. It stabilizes mood, enhances focus, and sharpens memory. REM sleep in particular, which tends to occur more heavily in the second half of the night, is crucial for emotional regulation and creativity. People with chronic sleep issues often report anxiety, depression, and irritability. It becomes a vicious cycle. Poor sleep leads to mental health decline, which in turn makes sleep harder to achieve. Breaking this cycle requires creating a sleep-supportive environment and routine. Circadian rhythm, the body's internal clock, is another critical part of the sleep equation. It's regulated primarily by light exposure, especially natural light in the morning and darkness in the evening. When you expose your eyes to sunlight within the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking, you send a strong signal to your brain that resets your internal clock, helping your body to know when to wake and when to prepare for sleep. Conversely, bright light at night, especially blue light from screens, delays melatonin release, pushing your sleep onset time later and reducing total sleep duration. This circadian disruption has been linked to increased risk for depression, cancer, and metabolic disorders. Developing a consistent sleep schedule, waking at the same time every day, helps reinforce this rhythm. The body begins to anticipate sleep and wake times, which leads to faster sleep onset and deeper sleep quality. It's not just the quantity of sleep that matters, but the regularity. Irregular sleep schedules, even with adequate total hours, can still impair hormone balance and cognitive function. One night of late sleep, or an all-nighter, can set your body clock by days. Beyond timing, the sleep environment matters. Darkness signals the brain to release melatonin, the hormone that helps induce and maintain sleep. Even small amounts of ambient light, from streetlights, phone screens, or digital clocks, can suppress melatonin and disrupt sleep architecture. A cool, dark, quiet room mimics the natural conditions our ancestors evolved with. This kind of environment supports the body's innate sleep mechanisms. What you do before bed is just as important as your sleep environment. Caffeine, even consumed 6 hours before bedtime, can interfere with your ability to fall to sleep and stay asleep. Alcohol might make you drowsy initially, but it fragments sleep and reduces REM cycles. High-carb or heavy meals before bed increase body temperature and insulin levels, which also disrupt the body's natural readiness for sleep. Instead, light meals, calming routines, and avoiding stimulation can create a physiological bridge into restorative sleep. Walking outdoors may be one of the simplest yet most profoundly effective practices for enhancing overall health, particularly when done daily and consistently. While many people focus on intense exercise routines or expensive gym memberships, the benefits of walking in nature, especially during daylight hours, are often underestimated. Walking doesn't just improve cardiovascular fitness, it recalibrates hormonal balance, boosts immune function, improves mood, regulates circadian rhythm, and enhances metabolic health. This low-impact movement, accessible to nearly everyone, serves as a full system reset when practiced with intention. When you walk outdoors, especially in the morning or late afternoon, you're exposed to natural sunlight. This exposure is one of the most powerful regulators of your body's internal clock, known as the circadian rhythm. The retina in your eyes contains specialized cells that respond to sunlight and signal the suprachiasmatic nucleus in the brain, which governs your sleep, wake cycle, hormone release, body temperature, and even digestion. When your eyes receive bright natural light early in the day, your body begins to increase cortisol in a healthy pattern and suppress melatonin until later that evening. This sets a natural rhythm that improves alertness during the day and enhances sleep quality at night. Conversely, missing morning light exposure leads to a delayed circadian signal, resulting in poor sleep onset, fragmented rest, and grogginess the next day. Daily outdoor walking offers the perfect opportunity to anchor your circadian rhythm consistently. But it's not just about the light. The act of walking itself activates the lymphatic system, a critical part of the immune defense that relies on muscle movement to circulate. Unlike the circulatory system, which has the heart to pump blood, the lymphatic system requires physical motion to move fluid. Walking contracts leg and core muscles, squeezing lymphatic vessels and encouraging the flow of immune cells throughout the body. This process helps remove waste, reduce inflammation, and distribute white blood cells more efficiently. Regular movement through walking has also been shown to increase the production and function of natural killer cells and other innate immune components, making the body more resilient against viral infections, chronic inflammation, and even cancer progression. From a metabolic standpoint, walking regularly improves insulin sensitivity and glucose uptake by skeletal muscles. After meals, blood sugar levels rise, and a sedentary lifestyle can cause glucose to remain elevated for longer periods, contributing to insulin resistance. A 15 to 30-minute walk after meals helps muscles absorb glucose more efficiently, reducing the postprandial glucose spike and protecting against metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. Repeated studies have confirmed that these short walks significantly outperform sedentary post-meal behavior in managing blood sugar, even in people without diabetes. Mental health also receives a substantial benefit from daily outdoor walking. The rhythmic movement of walking calms the nervous system, activates the parasympathetic state, and helps regulate cortisol levels. Being in nature or even in a park with greenery enhances the release of serotonin and dopamine, neurotransmitters involved in mood regulation and motivation. Several studies have shown that walking in natural environments, as opposed to urban or indoor settings, reduces rumination, improves working memory, and decreases symptoms of depression and anxiety. The combination of light exposure, rhythmic motion, natural soundscapes, and oxygen-rich creates a powerful antidepressant effect that rivals medication in some cases, without side effects or cost. Joint health, often compromised by inflammation or disease, also benefits from daily walking. Gentle motion lubricates joints by stimulating the production of synovial fluid, the thick liquid that reduces friction between cartilage surfaces. Unlike high-impact exercise, walking applies minimal stress to joints while still stimulating circulation and mobility. Over time, this improves range of motion and reduces the stiffness often experienced with aging or sedentary lifestyles. Walking also helps maintain muscle tone and bone density, particularly when done on slightly uneven terrain, where small stabilizer muscles must work to maintain balance. Walking outdoors offers cardiovascular advantages as well. It improves heart rate variability, lowers resting heart rate over time, and reduces both systolic and diastolic blood pressure. The endothelium, which lines the blood vessels, responds favorably to gentle aerobic activity, becoming more elastic and responsive to changes in blood flow. Walking also improves the lipid profile by increasing HDL cholesterol and reducing LDL and triglycerides. All of these changes collectively reduce the risk of heart disease, stroke, and peripheral vascular conditions. The mental clarity and cognitive performance improvements from walking should not be overlooked. Studies have shown that walking, especially in natural settings, enhances creativity, problem solving, and memory consolidation. One reason for this is increased blood flow to the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making, planning, and self-control. Moreover, walking allows for a unique brain state called transient hypofrontality, in which the mind enters a relaxed, diffuse thinking mode that supports insight and creative thought. This explains why so many people report breakthroughs or problem solutions during or after a walk. On a biochemical level, walking outdoors increases of brain-derived neurotrophic factor BDNF, a protein that supports neuron growth, repair, and synaptic plasticity. BDNF has been called fertilizer for the brain, and its production is stimulated by regular moderate-intensity aerobic exercise like walking. Higher levels of BDNF are associated with reduced risk of neurodegenerative disorders, improved learning capacity, and stronger emotional regulation. Even the air quality during outdoor walks contributes to well-being. Forested or green environments contain phytoncides, natural compounds released by trees that have antimicrobial and mood-enhancing properties. Inhaling these compounds during a walk not only supports respiratory health, but also activates the immune system and lowers stress hormones. Finally, walking outdoors provides an opportunity to unplug from the constant input of modern life. The repetitive movement, natural scenery, and absence of digital distractions provide a form of active meditation. This allows for mental decompression, emotional release, and restoration of cognitive bandwidth. For many people, walking becomes not just physical activity but a daily ritual of clarity, reset, and self-connection. Stress is often portrayed as something purely negative, something to be avoided at all costs. But that perspective misses a critical truth about how the human body functions. The key distinction lies in the type, intensity, and duration of stress. Chronic, unresolved stress, whether psychological or physical, can be highly damaging, leading to elevated cortisol, poor sleep, suppressed immunity, and long-term inflammation. However, short, intentional bursts of stress, known as hormetic stressors, actually build resilience and improve health at the cellular level. The body adapts to these small challenges by becoming stronger, more efficient, and better equipped to handle larger stressors in the future. One powerful example of controlled stress is cold exposure. When the body is briefly exposed to cold temperatures, such as through cold showers, cold plunges, or even face immersion in cold water, several beneficial physiological responses occur. First, cold exposure activates the sympathetic nervous system, causing a short-term spike in norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter that improves focus, alertness, and mood. Over time, regular cold exposure trains the autonomic nervous system to become more balanced, resulting in better stress tolerance and emotional stability. Additionally, cold exposure stimulates brown fat activation, which is metabolically active and helps the body burn calories to produce heat. This can lead to improved insulin sensitivity and support fat metabolism, especially when practiced consistently. Intermittent fasting is another form of controlled stress that activates hormetic pathways. When the body experiences a temporary period without food, typically between 14 to 18 hours, it begins to shift from glucose metabolism to fat metabolism, initiating a process known as ketogenesis. During this shift, cells activate autophagy, a process where damaged proteins and organelles are broken down and recycled. Autophagy is essentially a cellular cleansing mechanism that reduces oxidative stress, improves mitochondrial function, and promotes longevity. By giving the digestive system a break and introducing a mild metabolic challenge, intermittent fasting supports better energy regulation and reduces risk of insulin resistance and chronic disease. Even physical exercise fits into the hormesis model. Resistance training and high-intensity interval training are forms of acute stress that temporarily break down muscle fibers, elevate heart rate, and increase oxidative stress. But in response, the body rebuilds stronger muscle, expands mitochondrial capacity, and improves cardiovascular efficiency. What makes these stressors beneficial is that they are time-limited and followed by adequate recovery. The cycle of challenge and recovery is essential for building resilience in all systems: immune, cardiovascular, neurological, and hormonal. Heat exposure, such as using a sauna, is yet another beneficial stressor. The body responds to heat by activating heat shock proteins, which help repair damaged proteins and protect cells from oxidative damage. Regular sauna use has been associated with reduced cardiovascular mortality, improved vascular function, and better tolerance to physical and emotional stress. Like cold exposure and fasting, the key is controlled dosage, enough to challenge the body, but not so much that it overwhelms or leads to injury or burnout. These practices share a common thread: they all mimic the environmental challenges our ancestors regularly faced. In nature, our bodies were routinely exposed to cycles of hunger, temperature fluctuations, physical exertion, and even acute danger. These stressors weren't chronic, they were temporary, and they built adaptive capacity. In the modern world, we've insulated ourselves from almost all forms of discomfort. Constant food availability, climate-controlled environments, and sedentary lifestyles have removed the natural stressors that once kept our systems robust. By reintroducing brief, strategic doses of stress, we remind the body how to adapt and grow stronger. Controlled stress also enhances mental resilience. Practices like breath holding, cold plunges, and fasting require mental discipline and teach the brain how to stay calm under pressure. This mental training translates into everyday life, helping individuals remain composed in difficult conversations, deadlines, or emotionally charged situations. Physiological resilience and psychological resilience are deeply interconnected, and hormetic stress bridges both domains. Breathing is something most people do without thinking, yet the way we breathe has profound effects on nearly every system in the body. Modern lifestyles have led to a widespread pattern of dysfunctional breathing, characterized by shallow chest breathing, rapid respiratory rates, and habitual mouth breathing. These patterns place the body in a low-grade state of sympathetic activation, also known as the fight or flight response, which can lead to elevated cortisol levels, increased heart rate, higher blood pressure, and chronic anxiety. Correcting how we breathe, particularly by emphasizing slow, nasal, and diaphragmatic breathing, helps restore parasympathetic balance, allowing the body to enter a calm, restorative state that promotes healing, focus, and emotional regulation. Breathing through the nose, rather than the mouth, is especially important. The nasal passages filter and humidify the air, warming it to the ideal temperature for gas exchange in the lungs. More importantly, nasal breathing stimulates the production of nitric oxide, a molecule that has antiviral, antibacterial, and vasodilatory properties. Nitric oxide improves oxygen uptake in the lungs and enhances circulation by relaxing blood vessels. When you breathe through your mouth, you miss this critical step, reducing oxygen efficiency and exposing the respiratory system to cold, dry, unfiltered air that can irritate the airways and contribute to inflammation. Diaphragmatic breathing, sometimes called belly breathing, activates the diaphragm rather than the accessory muscles of the chest and shoulders. This type of breathing increases lung volume, draws air deeper into the lungs, and maximizes oxygen exchange. It also stimulates the vagus nerve, which plays a key role in regulating heart rate, digestion, and immune function. Vagal stimulation through deep breathing shifts the body out of a stress response and into a parasympathetic state, where healing, digestion, and mental clarity are optimized. It also enhances heart rate variability, a key marker of resilience and overall health. One simple but powerful breathing technique is called box breathing. This involves inhaling for 4 seconds, holding the breath for 4 seconds, exhaling for 4 seconds, and holding again for 4 seconds. Repeating this pattern for just 5 minutes can reduce cortisol levels, lower blood pressure, and calm an overactive nervous system. Box breathing is used by military personnel, first responders, and high-performance professionals to maintain composure and clarity under pressure. Its effectiveness lies in the rhythm, the balance between inhale and exhale, and the intentional control of breath, all of which train the brain to remain present, and grounded breathing also affects carbon dioxide levels in the body, which in turn influences oxygen delivery to tissues. Contrary to popular belief, carbon dioxide is not just a waste gas. It is a critical regulator of blood H and a key signal for release from hemoglobin. When breathing is too rapid or shallow, carbon dioxide levels drop too low, causing vasoconstriction and reducing oxygen delivery to the brain and muscles. This is known as the Bohr effect. Slow, controlled breathing maintains optimal carbon dioxide levels, ensuring efficient oxygenation and preventing symptoms such as dizziness, fatigue, brain fog, and panic over time. A chronic dysfunctional breathing can contribute to a wide range of symptoms and conditions, including insomnia, digestive issues, anxiety, hypertension, and even atrial fibrillation. By retraining the body to breathe properly, many of these issues can be improved or even resolved. The key is consistency and awareness. Practicing slow, nasal breathing during daily activities such as walking, reading, or working on a computer helps reinforce new patterns. Eventually, the nervous system adapts, and healthy breathing becomes the new default. Breathing practices are not just for stress relief, they are foundational tools for regulating internal physiology. Breath is the only autonomic function we can consciously control, and it serves as a direct interface between the mind and body. Through the breath, we can influence heart rate, brain activity, hormone levels, and immune responses. This makes breathwork one of the most accessible and powerful tools for self-regulation and resilience building available. Whether in the context of meditation, physical training, or daily routines, intentional breathing has the capacity to transform both physical health and mental well-being. The human gut is home to trillions of microorganisms that play essential roles in digestion, immunity, metabolism, and even brain function. This complex ecosystem, known as the gut microbiome, thrives on diversity. The more diverse the microbial population, the more resilient and adaptive the system becomes. One of the most effective ways to cultivate that diversity is by consuming a wide variety of plant-based foods. Each plant contains unique fibers, polyphenols, and phytochemicals that serve as nourishment for different species of beneficial bacteria. When the microbiome receives a rich and varied diet, it produces short-chain fatty acids like butyrate and prostatate, compounds that reduce inflammation, strengthen the intestinal barrier, and regulate immune responses. Unfortunately, the modern diet, which is often high in ultra-processed foods and low in fiber, severely limits microbial diversity. This lack of diversity is associated with a host of chronic conditions including obesity, autoimmune disorders, allergies, mood imbalances, and type 2 diabetes. The solution lies not in restrictive dieting, but in adding more colorful, fibrous, plant-based foods to the plate. A practical goal backed by research is to aim for 30 different plant foods per week. This doesn't just mean vegetables, but includes fruits, legumes, whole grains, herbs, spices, nuts, and seeds. Each of these categories bring its own of fibers and compounds that selectively feed various microbial species. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, kale, and cauliflower contain glucosinolates, which break down into compounds that support liver detoxification and reduce carcinogenic activity. Root vegetables like carrots, sweet potatoes, and beets are rich in soluble and insoluble fibers that promote bowel regularity and stimulate fermentation in the colon, leading to more short-chain fatty acid production. Berries and deeply colored fruits provide anthocyanins, and other polyphenols are metabolized by specific gut bacteria into anti-inflammatory agents that can influence systemic inflammation, including within the brain. Legumes such as lentils, chickpeas, and black beans are loaded with resistant starches, which resist digestion in the upper GI tract and arrive intact in the colon, where they serve as food for beneficial microbes. Resistant starches are particularly important for producing butyrate, a short-chain fatty acid that nourishes colonocytes, maintains the gut barrier, and regulates gene expression involved in immune control and cancer suppression. Regular consumption of legumes has also been associated with lower rates of heart disease and improved blood sugar control, benefits that are partly mediated through the gut microbiome. Fermented plant-based foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, and tempeh introduce live bacterial cultures directly into the gut. These probiotics help reinforce the gut barrier, outcompete harmful pathogens, and signal the immune system in ways that promote tolerance and reduce overreaction. Combining fermented foods with prebiotic-rich plants, foods that feed good bacteria, creates a synergistic effect that optimizes gut ecology and function. Prebiotics are found in foods like onions, garlic, leeks, asparagus, bananas, and Jerusalem artichokes, and they selectively feed beneficial microbes like bifidobacteria and lactobacilli. The health of the gut microbiome also has profound effects on mental health. Through the gut-brain axis, microbial metabolites influence neurotransmitter production, inflammation, and the stress response. A healthy microbiome produces GABA, serotonin precursors, and other neuroactive compounds that can reduce anxiety, improve sleep, and enhance emotional stability. Conversely, a damaged or imbalanced microbiome can contribute to mood disorders, brain fog, and even neurodegenerative processes. This is why dietary interventions targeting the microbiome often yield benefits in cognitive and emotional well-being in addition to digestive health, and incorporating more plant variety into the diet does not require drastic changes, but can begin with simple additions. Swapping refined grains for whole grains, adding beans to a salad, snacking on raw vegetables, sprinkling herbs on cooked meals, or blending a mix of fruits into a smoothie all contribute to microbial diversity. Eating seasonally and locally also supports variation in plant intake throughout the year. Introducing new types of fiber and phytochemicals to the microbiome on a regular basis. Over time, these shifts in diet lead to measurable changes in gut flora, which in turn influence nearly every aspect of human health, from energy production to immune balance to mental clarity. Human beings are biologically wired for connection, and the health impacts of meaningful relationships extend far beyond emotional comfort. Social connection influences immune strength, inflammation levels, cardiovascular function, stress resilience, and even gene expression. Research has consistently shown that people with strong social ties live longer, have lower rates of chronic disease, and recover faster from illness and surgery. The effects are not subtle. Chronic loneliness and social isolation can increase the risk of early death as much as smoking, obesity, or a sedentary lifestyle. From an evolutionary perspective, being part of a community was necessary for survival, and the body still interprets isolation as a signal of danger, triggering stress pathways that are designed for short-term threats, but become harmful when activated long-term. When an individual experiences loneliness, the body responds with heightened cortisol, increased sympathetic nervous system activity, and reduced parasympathetic tone. This imbalance can lead to chronic inflammation, weakened immune defenses, and poor sleep quality. On a cellular level, Loneliness affects the expression of genes involved in antiviral responses and increases the activity of genes involved in inflammation. This means that people who feel socially disconnected are more likely to experience low-grade, systemic inflammation that contributes to the development of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and autoimmune conditions. At the same time, their ability to mount an effective immune response to infections is compromised. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, plays a key role in mediating the health effects of social interaction. It is released during physical touch, eye contact, shared meals, laughter, and acts of kindness. Oxytocin reduces stress by lowering cortisol, improves pain tolerance, enhances wound healing, and supports cardiovascular health by reducing blood pressure and increasing heart rate variability. These physiological effects make oxytocin a powerful mediator of the restorative qualities of close relationships. Even simple, consistent social rituals, like a nightly family dinner or a weekly phone call with a friend, can elevate oxytocin levels and generate these health-promoting effects. Connection also shapes behaviors and habits that influence long-term health. People who are part of a supportive social network are more likely to engage in health-promoting behaviors such as regular physical activity, better dietary choices, and adherence to medical treatments. They are also more likely to seek help when they need it, whether for physical or mental health concerns. Social accountability and encouragement can reinforce positive routines and provide emotional resilience during times of stress or uncertainty. Being seen, heard, and supported by others has a profound stabilizing effect on the nervous system, which improves emotional regulation and cognitive function. Purpose and meaning in life are closely tied to connection. People who feel that their lives have value, especially in the context of relationships, whether through parenting, caregiving, volunteering, mentoring, or friendship, experience lower levels of stress, better sleep, and improved immune function. Purpose provides a psychological anchor that strengthens mental resilience and modulates physiological stress responses. It also increases motivation to care for one's health, creating a positive feedback loop between social engagement and physical well-being. In communities where longevity is common, such as the so-called blue zones, strong family ties, intergenerational living, and a culture of mutual support are consistent themes. Underscoring the importance of community in long-term health outcomes, in-person interactions have unique advantages over digital communication. Eye contact, physical proximity, and shared activities generate a depth of connection that digital platforms struggle to replicate. The nervous system responds differently to real human presence, with more pronounced parasympathetic activation and emotional regulation. Face-to-face interaction activates mirror neurons, which are essential for empathy and social learning, and deepens the sense of trust and security within relationships. While digital tools can maintain contact across distance, they are most effective when used to supplement, not replace, real-world engagement and acts of giving and service to amplify the health benefits of connection. Volunteering, offering emotional support, or simply being available for others activates reward centers in the brain, releases dopamine and endorphins, and enhances self-worth. These actions reduce feelings of isolation and increase the sense of belonging, both of which are essential for psychological and physical health. Cultivating a mindset of compassion and generosity not only improves social bonds, but also reinforces patterns of thought and behavior that promote longevity and well-being. The environments and routines people create around their relationships shape how connection is maintained. Prioritizing regular social time, minimizing distractions during conversations, and being present with others all reinforce the emotional and physiological effects of bonding. Even a few minutes of undivided attention, a kind message, or a shared walk can shift the stress chemistry of the body and enhance feelings of safety and contentment. These moments of connection act as microdoses of healing, supporting the nervous system, the immune system, and the heart on a daily basis.